Okay, so hello, and welcome back to Goomanese Coins and Banknotes, and today we have some coins from Sarawak. And these are my extras that I'm actually pumping off, so that's basically selling. And on this side I have some straight settlements coins, which were also circulated at the time, because Britain had foreign relations they did control, but the government of Borneo, which was run by the Brooke family, who is on the coins, and they're called the White Raj, because, well, Raj from Indian, which is the Rajas. I don't know, I think it's from Sanskrit. Definitely not from Arabic. Okay. Raja Sarawak. We need to find out what Raj actually means. So, Raj means reign, rule, or government. So doesn't mean king or anything. So it just means the Brooke rule or the Brooke government. And these were British people that took over the running of initially Sarawak at Kuching, so the capital. Then they expanded all the way around to Brunei over the current successive period. So basically from 1841 to roughly 1900. And they didn't take over British North Borneo. That was a different type of government. And initially I read that these people, they quelled a revolt against the Brunei government, and they were awarded with antimony. So Sarawak, just in Malay, just means antimony. So it's probably been altered slightly. If you go to etymology on Wikipedia, it just says it's from Sarawak Malay word Sarawak, which means antimony, which is just an element that they mine. And we have one in Victoria. So basically they issued their own coins. They would have used the straight settlements coins. So this one's been cleaned, but the grade would be good if it wasn't for the actual rim damage. So probably in the United States EF, VF Australia. But as you can see, the crown's actually quite nice. So basically they tried to issue the Indian rupee in Malaya, but because the Spanish had a longer period of reign in the region, the Spanish 8 reals was the most common coin. So the Malay, the Hong Kong dollar were based on the Spanish real. So that's why it's different than the Indian rupee. And they initially issued these copper coins. So this is the East India Company, and as you can see, it says company, it doesn't say government, because all this was pretty much just for profit. That's the only reason why the British expanded. So this coin from 1845, the mintage of 18,525,000. So population at the time in the Strait settlements itself was only about 200,000 to 300,000. And then you got most of the other places in current Malaysia, which make up majority of it. Probably be a few million, but I have not read how many people. So this coin probably sells for about $20-$30 in this grade. It's not really a good condition coin. Yeah, it does have Queen Victoria on it. Then we have this coin here. So this, you're not going to be able to know what date it is. Queen Victoria, so it's one of those years, but pretty much that's just a metal coin. And then we have this one. So it's coin rotated of Edward the 7th, and Edward the 7th issued 1 cent coins from 1903 to 1908, and this one is the last year of issue of his coins. Has a mintage of, we have no idea because none of them are actually kept, but the highest minted coin was 1906 with 7.5 million, and the lowest was 1907 with 5 million. So really, this should be within that range. Not really a scarce coin to get. In this condition, yeah, probably about $10 to $20. That's just my guesstimate. Okay, we're talking about Sarawak coins. So Sarawak did issue their own coins, and the size of most of the coins are actually quite different than the ones issued by the Straits Settlements, and even British North Borneo issued different coins. Okay, so we have the 1 cent, we have the half a cent, we have 10-cent coins. So these are all pretty much for basic resale. So what I do is I upgrade the coin collection and I'll resell these coins. Okay, the smallest denomination I have is this half a cent. So the half a cent was not issued between 1893 and 1933, and this coin here, 3 grams, 18 millimeters, and as you can see, it's quite damaged. It is corroded, and also it has a mintage of 2 million. So in this condition, probably $5 or less because of the actual damage. But as you can see, it has the Brook Raj, and he is the, as far as I know, the last Raj of the actual Sarawak. And below the brief we have the H mint mark. So that's a nice coin. This one's probably one of the harder coins to get. Okay, so the earliest large bronze coin I have, so we have 1862, that's from the Straits. So that's just for a comparison with the Sarawak coin. As you can see, they match up nicely. The silver coins initially did, but then they changed the 5 and 10 cent to copper nickel coins, which don't match up with the Straits Settlements coins. Okay, so here we have the 1863. In this condition is about this sold for $25 because there is no mintage figures, and it seems to be a bit of a scarce coin. So this was the first 1 cent that they did mint for Sarawak, 1863. It's 9.5 grams of copper, and it's 29 millimeters. So we have the reef, and where was it minted? Probably asked. So if you have one of these coins, you can find out. It's minted Heaton and Sons and the Birmingham Mint. Okay, and that closed down in 2003. So on the other side, so this is coin rotated, we have J. Brook Raj, and if you want to look up who the Rajas of, this is James Brook. So that's what James reigned from 1841 to 1868. So he's the guy who initially quelled the revolt against Brunei and took over the actual area of the capital. Then his, I think his nephew took over, Charles Brook. Then it must have been his son, Vinar Brook. So there's only really 3 people who reigned. But basically, they had to implement a government of some form. They just had no choice if they wanted to keep on doing what they do. Okay, the next coin I have is in better condition. So this is 1890. 1890, is there anything special about this date? Nah. Maybe they stopped issuing these type of coins in 1891. 1892 they had ones with holes. 1897, then 1920 they had a small copper nickel coin, and the coins you see behind me, those large ones, they're from 1927 to 41. So the 1891, so they changed the metal to bronze, 9.33 grams, 29.29 millimeters, and the thickness is 1.65, and it's plain. I wouldn't expect a coin made out of bronze or copper to have reading. And most of the coins have mintage figures. 1870 doesn't. And the lowest seems to be, which one? 1889, without the mint mark, 535,000. And then there's 2.6 million with the mint mark. And this coin here has a mintage of 3,210,000. It's a really scarce coin. Not. It should be pretty common. And in this condition, you'll be paying about $20. So this will be, I would classify as very fine, no higher than that. And here we have, so this is Charles Brooke. So it's the nephew. Now I keep thinking of niece. Nah, that's niece is actually a female. So yeah, these ones, it shouldn't be too hard to get with the number of coins that were minted, but most of them are going to be in pretty low grade. And some years have proof coins. This year, obviously, I don't see any proof coins, and proof coins are actually just minted to a high quality and they should be uncirculated. Okay, then we have the smaller 1 cent coin. So this is the first year of issue, and we have Sarawak 1 cent. Usually there's a mint mark underneath the reef, and this one's coin rotator, so change of rotation. And here we have Mr. Vinya Brook. So he was Raj up until 1946 when it was incorporated into Malaya under Malaya and British Borneo. And wow. Okay, Vinya withdrew treasury in exchange for limiting the powers of a new constitution. Okay, so he fled, or he was in Australia during the Second World War. Okay, it says he chickened out or fled, but it's probably a good idea to save him from being bait for the Japanese. Anyway, this is bronze coin, 5.48 grams, 24 millimeters, 1.6 grams. Once again, minted at the Birmingham Mint. So that seems to be consistent contract. So maybe the Birmingham Mint actually took bribes. I don't know. Can't say that stuff. That's slander. Anyway, you never know. Or maybe there was just good contacts. Okay, this 1927 had a mintage of 5 million. This one's 1929, had a mintage of 2 million. And as you can see, this one was probably lost in the ground somewhere. Someone dug it up and sold it. And this is what a coin would look like when it's lost in the ground. So it has a lot of environmental damage. And these ones are probably being collected as part of a set. So the only other coin I got is a 1930 with 3 million. And then there's 1937 with 3 million. 1941 is the key date. There were 3 million minted, but they were never issued for circulation, and most of them seem to have been either remounted or lost. Nemesis says there's 50 known. So the actual 1941 coins, they should have a provenance. So you should know who was the owner beforehand. If not, then they should. A lot of them probably graded by NGC or was it one of the other grading companies, Annex. So basically, the last year you're going to get is 1937. Okay, so those ones, yeah, probably about $10 for that one in that condition. Yeah, these ones about $10 as well. And this one, yeah, probably just a few dollars for that. Okay, the last coins I have. Oh wait, no, I've got two more. So here's another 1929. 2 million. So this one's in better condition. Yeah, probably $10 for that one. And the last three coins I have are the copper nickel 10 cent coins. So they also issued a smaller copper nickel 5 cent coin. So these took over from the silver coins that were in circulation, but I don't have any of those for sale. So the 10 cent coin, copper nickel of 5.8 grams, 26 millimeters in diameter, so going across, 1.6 millimeters thick. So they were first issued in 1920, but it seems that the more common date is the 1927. So initially 1920 is a mintage of 800,000, so that's the key date. 1927 mintage of 1 million, so really in this condition probably about $20. You can look up on eBay and see what they sold for. 1934, which I have here, has a mintage of 2 million, and this is the last year of mintage of the coin. And as you can see, it has H underneath the reef, so if it's missing the H, it will be an error. All of these should have the H mint mark. So that is basically what you're looking for. So I don't know of any varieties of this coin. With a mintage of only 2 million, I wouldn't expect there to be too many. Because if a coin die mints, just say 200,000 coins, that will mean there's only 10 dies. The chances of variation is actually quite small. So on this side, we have Brook, Raja, and Sarawak. And as you can see, these are probably very fine condition. In the United States, or Sheldon system, that would be EF. But I'm not in the United States, I'm in Australia. As you can see, it's not rated. This coin looks a bit thicker than that. Anyway, just remember, weights of these coins do vary because there is a tolerance of variation in coin weights. The diameter generally doesn't show that. Probably 1/10 of a millimeter or something like that. But coin weights do change. So anyway, let me know what you think of these coins. Which one is the one that you like? And the next video on Malaysia is British North Borneo. Thank you and goodbye.